Hey, hello there, John, the salon doctor, as they call me. Hey, look we're not that far away from peak season. It really is the time to plan now. Every year it seems like people will call me in January and February, and it's great to work with new clients in January and February, but that's after the horse is out of the barn and started down the road. Sometimes we can pull it off really well, but we need more time to get ready. So this is a very critical webinar. I'm going to try to make it very, very short, but these are 5 things that you must do, you must be prepared for if you're going to have a successful peak season. So get ready, get pencil and paper out, and take some notes, okay? 2021 is only 4 weeks away. When you're looking at the first part of January, now some people don't think that the peak season really starts until the end of January, first part of February, but actually it does start in January. That's kind of the market share time. But anyway, why do I feel peak 2021 should be the best ever? Well, okay, are we finally going to have COVID under control? I think so. I think we all feel that we're moving in that direction. It's a pain in the neck that we're wearing masks everywhere, but I think we're seeing the trajectory now of what's being done to make COVID go away is getting better and better all the time. Even though there's more and more infections, it seems like now we've got the answers for it. So I believe that COVID's going away and that we're going to have a clean peak season, maybe a little bit through this Christmas and into January, but I think you need to really plan for peak season 2021 now. Will the election uncertainty be over? Well, it's not exactly the way that I wanted it to come out, but I would think by peak season, the election uncertainty will be over. There is a lot of pent-up consumerism for tanning, for a lot of different things, indulgence, just for pure getting on with your life, and including the desire to tan and escape. People want to escape now something terrible. If COVID can get to the point where the travel industry can get going again in the midwinter, it's going to be huge. That might be a little bit off because that's going to be a little bit harder for people to believe yet. But I think for tanning, it is going to be a huge, huge peak season. I think it's going to be everything that we wanted last year or this year in 2020, but didn't get. Also, some tanning competitors, I don't want to sound this to be negative, but some tanning competitors will not still be in business. We've heard of a few here and there that, regardless of stimulus and regardless of what they did, could not keep afloat. And that's shame. It's terrible. I feel sad for those folks. But let's make sure we make up a lot of it in this next peak season. So there are going to be some kind of competitors that won't be around. Maybe that makes your business in peak season better. The economy is coming back with inevitable increases in indulgent spending. People are so tired of being locked up. You're going to see this change. So here is 5 things that you need to do to get ready for peak 2021. Numbers. You can't plan to raise the score of your salon or salons if you don't know what it was. Number 2, you have to identify staff strength and weakness to cut the poor performers. You can't keep holding on to people that are not performing for you. And I'll show you a little key to that in just a minute. Also, it's time to correct pricing on packages and EFT memberships. Listen, this is you've got some time to do it now. And by the way, I might also say that if you're changing software, this is the time to do it too. But the package pricing, EFT membership pricing, this is the time to do it, to be prepared. Number 4, 2021 can't be a winner without a solid marketing plan month by month. You got to have a solid plan. And this is the time to do it. This is why people are coming to me now, because they have a lot of things they want to change in their pricing, their staffing, their marketing plan. Number 5 is construct compensation and incentive plans to get better staff, not to just get them, but to keep them. And if you've seen some of my prior webinars, we talk about recruiting and interviewing. Well, so those are your 5 things you have to do to get ready for peak 2021. If you don't do them, you eliminate any of those, you're going to be far short of what you should be doing in terms of your potential. And let's show you something about numbers. The number of tans So if you're going to look at your numbers, look at the number tens. But here's what I want you to use. Don't use 2020 with the exception of January, February, because it's kind of ludicrous for the rest of the year. Look at January and February for 2019, for 2020. Now, what I did as I looked at those numbers for our numbers of our clients, I got a whole bunch of those numbers for January and February, probably constitutes across the country at least 200 salons. So I got those and looked at some of our numbers to tell you, to give you some kind of a guide of what to look at. So the number of TANs, our clients were up. When it says PGC on the right side of the screen, that's Power Group Companies. Our clients were up 11% in that January, February period, 2020 versus 2019. So up 11%. So see what yours is. The percentage of EFT dollars of revenues. So our clients were up 48.9%, up to 48.9%. That's huge. We're doing 48.9% of our revenues in EFT. Lotions and products per tan sale, our average in January, February is 227. Now, for all of 2019, it was 289, so it's considerably higher. But again, this is again for just January and February. And that's what you're seeing. Look at your numbers for January, February, and then look at where we are in terms of what our clients were able to do in terms of being percentage ahead of the game or dollars. We'll show you some more of this. Okay, so the other thing, your per sale average. I know a lot of numbers here. Not going to show you a lot of numbers, but this is your services and your lotions. And when you put them together and you divide it by your TANs or your transactions, our average for January and February is $10.89. Now the industry average is considerably below that, probably eight and a quarter, something like that. But take a look at your numbers. Take your total revenues and divide them by your total number of TANs. That'll give you your PSA or per sale average. Okay, next, look at your average EFT monthly draw. This is very critical because if you're on an EFT, and if you're not, I'm going to be harping on you here in a minute about EFT. But if you're on an EFT, look at your average draw, because if you've got, let's say, 4 levels of tanning and your average draw is somewhere down on your first level or between your first and second level, that's a real critical thing to know, because what you want to do is set up a goal for what your average level of draw should be. Now, our clients' average draw for 2019, $58.75 a month. We had some that were more, we had some that were lower, but $58.75. Now, if you had 5 levels, this is kind of a level in between. I'll just throw out a name. Let's call it a gold level. Your goal should be, you're not going to get everybody to the top level. You certainly don't want everybody on the lower level, but if you can get somewhere in the middle, the difference. Now, I will tell you this, our client average just 3 years ago was about $41. See, it's come up quite a bit. $17 is quite a bit in 3 years. That's a 40% increase. So look at your average EFT monthly draw. If you call upon me to help you get ready for peak season, we are going to talk about those numbers. And the last number we're going to talk about is the number of unique customers that you have. So all the softwares have that. Sometimes it's a little hard to find them in Helios or TanTrack or whatever now. TanLink is pretty good. Sunlink is pretty good. But you want to find what your unique customers, again, I want to emphasize January, February of 2020 versus 2019. So our client average, customer average, whatever, for our clients that we work with was up 9.3%. And unique customers is very important. Now, when you look at these 5 numbers, the number of TANs has something to do with the brand in your marketplace, how well you're perceived, and how well you take care of people customer service-wise. So that's important. It's that it doesn't have as much to do with marketing as some of the other things do. Your EFT percent of total revenues, that's all about selling and what your pricing sheet looks like, so it makes it easier for people to buy. Your lotion product per tan and your per sale average, it's all about selling. That's why you want to look at your staff. Your average EFT monthly draw, again, selling. Now, the number of unique customers has a lot to do with marketing, getting feet in the door. Okay, so let's move on here. Let's get to learn how to get your better numbers, and you can do it along with 20,000 pages, 50 plus webinars, marketing, salon, HR management, or successful tanning salon operations of guidance in my vault, my paid vault. Folks, it's $39 a month. It is so cheap for 30 years of running this business and running and overseeing the development of over 2,000 salons. It's super, excuse me, super cheap. Okay, and there's the vault, and I went too fast. So if you're ready to really take your business up and you want some help, there on the screen will show you what you can do to join the vault. And also right now, I'd like to shoot my phone because I thought I had it undone. Okay, so, and here's another page of advertising for you. Visit the vault, and there's books in there that I've written. I've written 5 books, published them for retail management. The specific one called The Game Changer, I wrote for the tanning salon industry. Okay, moving on. Let's get to number 2. I talked about number 1, numbers. Number 2, identifying your staff rock stars and those to be replaced. This is critical, guys. It's critical. We're going to the peak season. You want to have a big time winning peak season. You can't do it with big time losers. You got to have winners. First of all, you consider non-sales performance for winners and losers. This is non-sales now. Are they reliable? It's simple stuff, right? Are they reliable? Are they responsible? Are they mature? Do they show initiative? Do they have potential to do something other than sitting behind the counter? This is a time now for you to be frosty cold and looking at your employees. And I'm going to show you how to do that in just a minute. It's time to be chilly. Say, who are the people that are going to help me develop my business? It's not a time to be thinking about who can I get to work a shift. If you're down to that point that you're afraid that you don't have anybody to work a shift, then you're going about managing your business the incorrect way. You need winners. And the way to do that is you look on the screen there, rank employee sales averages on for sale average, which is lotion service, lotion average. And now the one that's really interesting that a lot of people, I will say that I brought to this industry is EFT close. The EFT close rate is real simple. You take an employee and you see how many EFTs they sold, say, in a month. Take all of your employees and look at if they're still with you from January and February. Look at how many, well, actually, you could take it for the whole year, people that have been with you the whole time, but make sure that you're comparing apples and apples, employees against employees for the same time period. You just take the number of EFTs they sold, divided by the number of TANs or transactions they handled. That's your EFT close rate. It's telling you how many people or where your people rank in terms of taking advantage of their opportunities. That's a killer. Now, if you want more, then you should consider the MVP plan. This is something that I developed for a retailer in Milwaukee many years ago, worked quite well. And you can look at the sheet, and if you want, when you see this presentation, you can stop it and analyze it or whatever. I'm not going to stay on it any longer, but you'll see what we've done is we've ranked per sale average, lotion average, membership, EFT close. And if you really want to get fancy and you can, with your software, if you can determine how many EFTs canceled by that individual person, then we get to the membership cancel rating. But that's, you can look at it if you, when you have me work with you as your consultant, we're going to do a deep dive on your numbers and we'll tell you who the winners and the losers are. We want people that can sell. Okay, number 3, maybe time to re-strategize your pricing. You don't have an EFT plan? Oh, Gavolt, you got to have an EFT plan. Don't go through another season, peak or otherwise, without a membership EFT plan. Just don't do it. I mean, it's you're losing your butt. I mean, that's why I had to put it on the screen. You are literally losing your butt. Not necessarily, you might be making a profit right now by not selling EFTs. But if you sell EFTs, you'll make so much more. Every successful chain and salon in this industry uses a membership plan. And I think I've done 350 of them over the years. So It is incredibly critical. Okay, EFTs are used by every successful, all using huge benefits, utilizing the huge benefits of EFTs. I want to make a point on this, and this is why I hesitate to bring this up. It's huge benefits for the consumer, for you as an owner, and it's also for the employees. Um, Price sheets should be set up showing the advantages of membership and how the price per tan gets continually cheaper the longer the tanner commits. And when they start to see that it gets cheaper as from a single session to 10 to a 30-day unlimited to a couple different levels of EFT, a lot of times the sheet sells itself. Okay, pricing should also show the step-ups to higher levels of tanning are baby steps. So you can't have $30 increments between level and between one level and another in a given level of tanning. It makes it easier to sell tanners to higher priced equipment and better tans. So it's kind of baby steps. But remember, in the baby steps that they take up, your raw cost on that higher level equipment on a per tan basis is negligible. It's very, very low. So any step that they take up, even if you got a $10 step up from one level to another, you're still making $850 or $875. You're making a lot of money. So also price sheets need to be simple to help keep both the tanner and the salesperson to make decisions. Remove extraneous information so the price kind of sells itself. Let me give you an example. What I see of a lot of times when people come to me, they have a pricing sheet that they're talking about. In the pricing sheet the consumer sees when they come in the salon, they'll say something about wattage and numbers of bulbs. They'll see things there that the customer doesn't know the difference between a bed with this many bulbs and a bed with that many bulbs. They know that, by the way, if the salesperson behind the counter tells them and says, all right, this has got only 32 bulbs and this has got this many bulbs, and these are different kind of bulbs. These are bronzing bulbs. That's what should be discussed by the salesperson as part of their selling people to one piece of equipment or another. But when you put it on the sheet, all of a sudden you've got all this extraneous information around. There'll be things on there about how to honor your membership, or maybe that you want to have a cancellation fee. Don't put any of that stuff on there. You put your levels, you put your pricing on there, you show the advantage that it gets cheaper the longer they commit. And again, if I work with you and redirect your salon, I can show you a gazillion examples of pricing sheets we've done, all with different graphics and all pretty stuff. Okay, next, eliminate any practice. Please, I beseech you, don't sell minutes. Don't do it. I mean, I talked about the beginning of the top of the sheet, you're losing your butt if you don't need an EFT plan. Selling minutes is you might as well put your finger in a pencil sharpener. I'll tell you why too. When you sell minutes or you sell an exorbitant amount of sessions, because you're running too many BOGO sessions, BOGO marketing or promotions, whatever. When you sell too much of that, what people do with sessions, with minutes, with $10, bonus bucks, upgrades, they tend to put them in a mental checkbook. And I'm going to hold on to them. I'm going to squirrel them away, and I'm not going to tan for 3 or 4 weeks. But for that event coming up, I'm going to tan like crazy the 2 weeks before. That's not to your interest or to theirs, because if they stop tanning, they're going to have to get back to getting a new base tan. They got to start all over again. I tell you, I don't know of anybody that's got I don't know of anybody that's got a successful business that sells minutes. Now, every once in a while, I'll have a new client say to me, but my customers like minutes. No, what they're going to like is to see that their price advantages get better as they commit to longer times with you. Because, how many minutes should a person be tanning in a tanning bed? It is not up to the customer to make that decision. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. The person that should be helping them to decide the number of minutes they should stay in any one given bed or bed level is the professional behind the counter. There's an extremely small percentage of people out there that are consumers that know more about how many minutes they should be tanning than what our salon consultants should be telling. So get away from selling this stuff. Now, if you're going to sell upgrades, great, sell upgrades, but make sure that your people are using those upgrades to sell upgraded levels. That's where the big money is made, not in selling a single upgrade. So if you got to give away a free upgrade here and there, that's what you need to do. Okay, let's move on to number 4, marketing strategy. You don't have one, your competition will have one. Your competition will definitely have a marketing strategy. And matter of fact, they've got it right now. They're planning January is what we call market share month. Every wise competitor, even some not so wise, have a market share strategy for January. The vast majority of tanners coming in January and February do not have a tanning commitment from last year. So there it's a target rich opportunity. March, let me get to, sometimes good old PowerPoint. Anyway, so February is membership month on steroids. Sell everyone that you can on a membership and make the incentive for the sales folks meaty. Because if you have to pay somebody on a high level EFT and that consumer has to commit for 6 months, and let's say that you're charging, and I'm not suggesting any particular price, I will, if you're my client, I'll guide you on prices. But let's say that that level you're charging $70 a month. And this consumer agrees to a 6-month EFT. That's $420. Plus 6 months, you're selling them 2 or 3 bottles of lotion. You should be. So you're taking in one hell of a lot of money, maybe $600. So if I have to pay somebody $15 or $20 at that level to sell that EFT, I'm doing that every day. So make sure the incentives, don't cheap out on that, because your cost of incentives is just, it's minuscule compared to what you get off of EFTs. Now, your March marketing strategy, marketing strategy, I say simply see February. February and March are they're critical months. Okay, so let's go on, and then you get to April, and most markets, April is the biggest month of the year for tanning salons. It is huge. Okay, it's spring is happening. People are looking at their white legs and their white faces, and they're thinking about barbecues coming up. They're thinking about, and I'm assuming COVID's going to be gone in the spring. They're thinking about weddings, graduations, thinking about things where they're going to be outside, and they don't want to look as white as I do. So April is an enormous month, and this is why we got killed so bad this year on peak season, because statistically, April is number 1. These are numbers for years. April is number 1, March is number 2, February is number 3, May is number 4, June is number 5, January is number 6. So you can see January's market share. You got to do marketing in January to get people into your salon and get your share of the market away from your competition. And I tell you right now, that Suntan City and Planet Fitness will be offering all kinds of specials the end of December and into January to get people away from you. So if you don't know what to do with your marketing, you better come and see me. I'm not that expensive. May, the time to sell members to upgraded levels, because you're getting toward the end of the tanning season. So now, if they're stuck in a rut somewhere in the first or second level, this is the time to sell them to an upgraded level, and maybe with a very attractive lotion discount. Because if you sell them to that upgraded level, this is like a new thing, right? It's a little new car, a new toy that they get to. They get to tan now in this bed that looks like it's a spaceship. And instead of just ending their membership and stop tanning at the end of May, they'll go June and maybe into July. Next June. Now, as crowds start to thin out a little bit, you might consider a BOGO approach to reinforce spring season tanning and to get non-members to keep tanning through June and July at the very least. I say non-members because maybe your members now are going to stay with you through the summer and into the fall. There is a percent that will cancel, understand that, but you also have a big percentage of people that still aren't on an EFT. So a BOGO in June would make some sense. I would not run a BOGO in February, March, or April. It's silly. You got the demand is right there. People want a tan, so I would not do that. Okay, next, effective compensation and incentives. This is number 5. Tanning salons compete with many other retail and service jobs for rock stars, and you need a strategy to get them and keep them. You can't wait until January to recruit the stars. You got to do it now. People, unfortunately, every year I'll get a few that'll come to me and say, well, how do I go out there and get 2 or 3 rock stars in each one of my salons? In January, it's too late. And then they'll say, well, I don't want to hire them now because I got all that payroll through December, and I don't have that much business in December. You got to do it, gang, because if you want to get somebody, you don't want to start hiring them in January because they're going to be working for somebody else. The good ones are going to be working for somebody else. So you can't wait until January. You got to start now because remember, good solid training is every bit as important as compensation. People want to feel that you take their success seriously and that you're going to give them some good solid training. If you start recruiting now, you've got a chance to get them well trained in this month, December, and into January. So when the dance starts in February, you're ready for some good dancers. Now, here's another thing is to look at. Do you have a solid management supervisory team? The most important person in the tanning industry is not the tanning salon owner, and it's not me. It is the tanning salon manager. That person has the biggest effect on what the employees do on a day-to-day basis. They may be a good motivator, they may be a good demotivator, but you got to look at your management team, and this is the time to do it. So when you talk about recruiting new stars, you may need to recruit a new manager, and you're going to have to pay the appropriate funds to get them. Look, you don't blanch when it comes to getting good tanning equipment, and you pay through the nose for it. And you also don't hold back when it gets a good location, and you pay through the nose for that, and for the build out or the cleaning up of a location. Why you try to get people cheap? One of the ones you don't want to cheap on is the manager. And what is the going rate? It depends on the market. It's all over the board. Some markets we can get a good manager for $12, $13 an hour. In some markets, smaller markets, major metro markets, I have a chain that's paying their new managers $15. That's at the very least, because you've got too many other alternatives out there where they're paying a lot more than that. And when you look at what they control, that's cheap money. Because understand that your goal is to get the top line up. Don't be so worried about the payroll cost. Get the sales up. We are a top line business. Okay, next. Here are some of John Farr's YouTube webinars on HR you should watch. The Art of Interview. I just recently did this in the last month, parts 1 and 2. There are the 2 connections for it, okay? And those are really good for interviewing, for recruiting and hiring. And last, bad salon hiring practices. I strongly recommend that you look at that. Okay, so those are the 5 things that you have to take a look at. You've got to do it now, people, if you want to really have a good peak season, because you've got some making up to do from 2020, where everybody does, the whole industry does, and I want you to make it up. So, okay, last about me. You want more guidance? I'm really, for what gets produced, I'm really a cheap alternative. I do it because I've been doing this for so many years, 30 years of guiding tanning salon operations, 52 years of management, executive retail stores, including a little chain called Target. But then I've also guided and in some cases managed large chains in the salon business and right down to single salons. 50 years of marketing background for Fortune 500 firms and more than 500 salon companies. I think we've now worked marketing wise, we worked with 548, just another new one over the weekend. Don't wait. We had 45 new tanning salon clients come to us in January and February this year alone. 45. It looked like it was going to be a tremendous peak season for me to help all these people, plus the current clients I had. And then, of course, we all know what happened in March. kaboom. But our company we can handle only so many because we are hands-on. You're not going to see as a consultant, or I just nod my head. And how do you think about that? Sometimes people might think I'm too hands-on. Hey, I'm 73 years old. This is my passion. I'm not going to be shy about telling you what I think you should do, what's going to work. I'll also not be shy about telling you what you're already doing that's right. Okay, and lastly, here is a list. This is just a list to throw up on the screen. These are some of the people that working with this year, earlier in January, February, and into the later part of last year too. It's got their phone numbers, their names, the people to contact, their email. Call them all because you shouldn't trust what I'm telling you or anybody else in this business. If you see something on a forum, do you really know if those people are experts in this industry? I am an expert. And these people, just this sample listed here, they'll tell you what it's like to work with me. And I tell you, you really need to consider a business makeover because so many times I see people have so many things, not just one thing. Typically, a client will come to me and say, "I just need you just for some marketing." And we find out that their numbers are really bad, their pricing sheet's really bad. We find out that the people they hire are really bad. And look at this, consulting starts as low as $950 for 30 days. I will get you that money back so fast you won't believe it. But the first consultation that you come to me on is free. So I hope this didn't take too much of your time. I'm hoping that we all have a fantastic peak season, and you've got all my information how to get a hold of me. So let's talk and let's get ready for 2021. We'll see you then.